The Committee on Education, Training and ICT, that is on a tour of some tertiary institutions, particularly the TVET institution and also the University of the Gambia. Like a year ago, we were on a tour where we visited Ndemban, the Candlelight Center, and also the University of Gambia. So at that time, none of the places actually was working. So now that some of them, particularly the University of Gambia in Faraba, is actually in operation, so we came to check on some of the issues, and we're able to visit, even though the students are away, we are able to visit the School of Education, and also we met with the staff from the facility, and that is also able to take us around to show us actually what's happening. So we've seen that the classrooms, actually the furniture of the classrooms, we've also seen particularly the School of Arts and Sciences, where some of the labs actually, the items have been unpacked, so which we think is also good. We also have the School of ICT, also in this end, where they've already set up as well. So essentially we are here just to ensure that what we found here the last time, which is the lack of activity, actually is done. So now that we understand that the students are coming, lectures actually have started, and which is really great. So we also went to Ndemban also, where the students also are on leave, and they are doing their practicals, that's attachment, so which is also good. So the only area which is kind of like, which there is a delay in terms of students starting their classes, so but overall I think they are set and they're ready to go, and that's why we are here again today to check on the previous visit we actually had, where we had a lot of issues along the lines of facilities, transportation, etc., etc. But I think still now the biggest issue around this end also is about the movement of students, the movement of teachers in terms of transportation. But we are sure with the committee's recommendation, that's something which is going to be put to the Vice Chancellor to see how best they can actually ease that transportation burden on the students and also on the lecturers as well. Thank you very much. waaw tey ñu ngi fi nii si University of the Gambia mooy suñ comité bi nga xam ne moo amee wàllu njàng mi ak njàngale bi daaw demoon nañu round wër University of the Gambia in Faraba time boobu liggéey bi pare ngutoon demoon nañ tam Ndemban demoon nañ tam also Kanilai yooyu yëpp yaaroon nañ fa pour xool school yi waaye time school yëpp doxagul waaye fi ñu toll nii fii ci Faraba lañ nekk ni tey school bi mooy University of the Gambia start na fii xale yaa ngi jànga ñu ngi dem school loolu lañ doon xool school yi ak toog yi ak njàngale mi yooyu yëpp naka laa demee waaye nag lu ñu gisaale daal kontaan nañ so far xam naa ne daal lu ñu am jafe-jafe daal lu ci gën a fës mooy affaire dem ak ñëw bi mooy transportation bi mooy xale yu jàng yi ak tam ñu leen di jàngal mooy teachers yi ak lecturers yi professors yi yooyu yëpp ba léegi daal is an issue boo demee fële tam Ndemban tam ñoom at least ñoo tam start nañ programme bi am na ñu nga xam ne am nañ góor am na jigéen ñu ngi def seen programme bi ñooñu it the same thing right now sax ñoom close nañ ba am nañ 30 days off xam ne ñu ngay dem yeneen programme so léegi lu des daal mooy pour Kanilai take off wax nañu tam ne maybe weer bi ne daal yëpp dinañ commencé start parce que gis nañ ne lal yaa ngi fa du gis nañ ne classe bi tam furniture yoo ngi fa loolu yëpp daal gis nañ daal mu ngay dem so lu ñuy def daal mooy ñu demee toog as a committee ñu xool gën a dimbale ministre bi ak université boppam ñu xam ne daal yi mooy jafe-jafe yi ñu seet naka la mën a liggéey together daal pour am na dañuy wàññi jafe-jafe yooyu noonu jërë ngeen jëf. Thank you.
Realize the national objectives, and I am Aliou Badara Sen. I'm the registrar for USET, and just to give you a small synopsis about USET, it's been an institution in transformation from 2020, and today we are on our 4th cohort of enrollment with almost a number of very close to 200 overall. The latest cohort that we've just enrolled, we're looking forward for their matriculation after doing some verification processes for those admissions. And we're looking at 3 streams as far as our BSc programs is concerned. We're looking at bachelor for civil engineering, mechanical, and electrical electronics. But down the line, we're hoping to further expand to other areas to make sure that at least we create more opportunities in terms of access, relevance, and also the quality that would be of immense, need for Gambian youth. You said it's going through a lot of challenges, to be quite honest, of recent, one would say, especially with the recent slashing of our subventions. Excuse me for my tone. If you look at the correlations in terms of expansion and what is revenue potentials for the institution, there is a mismatch for now. And would be important that at least to put some systems in place to make sure that it doesn't further slide back, because otherwise the rationale for the creation of USET would definitely go through some serious challenges. And I think government needs to be very careful about that. It was a decision that I think should have been planned, and there should have been an informed process in place to make sure that before you talk about changing your subventions, you need to understand what's the situation on the ground and create a plan so that you can get some informed data to be able to help and justify whatever. But however, I'm made to understand that hopefully going to be some negotiations to see what potentials we can do. And to be honest, as a committee, I think I must have to reiterate that the existence of USET could definitely change the horizon nature of this country as far as youth prospects are concerned in terms of tertiary educations in that area. And I think we definitely need to work very hard, and I think your committee also needs to be well listened to by government to make sure that we try and have some strong consolidations to make sure that the future and the hopes of this country is highly well anchored as far as technical and vocational education is concerned. And there is need for more planning, reorganizations, and also working relationship with the ministry also, needs to be properly more defined and organized. And also to understand the legal limitations so that at least institutions not necessarily enjoy the autonomy, but to be seen doing as what is expected of them. So that at least at the end of the day, you take them on a performance contract, you could be able to hold them accountable. Otherwise, you just have some of those things on paper, and at the end of the day, it wouldn't just gather any results. So just in brief, I will stop there. Mariam, come and sit here. Feel free. So I once again welcome you all, and I think it's another pleasure opportunity to meet you. Sometimes we do meet at the level of your office also, which is quite impressive as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
yes thank you very much, Sen, for that brief synopsis.
company. Over the years, we have evolved into also ecosystem builders because we realized that just providing technology solutions in our setting was not sufficient enough. We needed to now influence policies, we needed to influence training, but also we needed to train our people so that they can use technology products, digital products. Afrijula is our main product. I call it the QuickBooks for the African merchant. Yeah. We are funded by UNCDF to help business owners, mainly micro businesses, to gain access to financing. So before we developed Afrijula, we did research all over the Gambia to understand what business owners need, but also how do they navigate softwares, for instance. We understand that our people aren't all literate. So we developed Afrijula with that in mind, where we put in a lot of local languages, but as well color-coded, because we see that's how non-literate people navigate solutions. So Fatmata would briefly just go.
Even one MP into this GSC, much more a committee of this nature. And we were looking for this opportunity because you would see one thing, we don't advertise ourselves. When you enter the building, there's nothing written. All that you show, security and soldiers. And if you look at the administrative setup as well, is very thin on the ground. We are not that many. We could be more. We could have almost 100 staff. We will be surprised that we have less than even 15, even 10. And with that size and location, you may be surprised that of all your visits, be it other parliamentary subcommittees on different subject matters, in our view, this institution is the most important, not one of. That's why we feel honored to have you here, so that you understand why we say is the most important. You would have known about our importance even a week ago if the disaster that was approaching the country had actually occurred on the 31st of this January this year. It was averted simply because we had to make sure that the Minister of Finance pays a certain amount of money for and on behalf of the government, GAMTEL and GAMCEL, for our operations to continue. And that amount, you'll be surprised for them, that is far less than 200 and maybe 37 to under $250,000. Not dollars, it's dollars. But why are we saying the GSC is that important? You will recall that before 2012, all the communication that we had in this country, in two ways. One, all the traffic, generally we were using the satellite, partly, with a lot of limitation. Even if you want to download a simple file, you wait for hours. And a part of the traffic goes through the terrestrial route to Senegal, and then they control it. It goes to the rest of the world. Almost access to bandwidth was expensive, far more than today. But by 2012, when the ACE came in and it was launched, a capacity costing $5,000 dropped down to less than $5,000 because of the GSC. And the impact of this is such that the entire communication that comes into the country and out of the country, people abandon satellite. All our current traffic in this country is passing through one pipe with switching systems and everything that we will show you on the where we are sitting today. If anybody just comes in today and then pull just one of it, there will be no communication, no internet, no voice service, no applications so that are dependent on the internet. So in effect, we will simply be saying your work as MPs in the parliament will come to a halt. Imagine 1 week, just a day, when there is no internet, no connectivity, voice or data at the National Assembly, at the Office of the President, at the banks, at the health centers or hospitals, educational institutions. All these activities we are doing, commercial activities in this country, that support base, the fundamental pillar, is here. It is not GAMTEL. It is not GAMCEL. It is not QCell. Because the QCell, the GAMTEL, the GAMCELs, the AfriCell, the NetPage, the Comiums, all of them are highly dependent on us here. We give them that capacity, they subdivide it and resell it to you, or to the public, or to the government, or to the institutions. So now it means the entire country's economy, part of which is influenced by ICT, here is the bedrock. And imagine a situation where QCell stops operations, AfriCell stops operations, Comium stops operations, and most of the banks, because of the ICT thing, everything stops. What would be the cost of that stoppage? In terms of employment, in terms of revenue for government, in terms of our own interactions as people. So we are alone here. It's only GSC. For that reason, we don't have to advertise ourselves, because we know those who will be highly dependent on us will keep looking for us. And that is just to tell you how important we are. Now, you may ask, what is the structure of this GSC like? You may ask, how much are we spending per 3 months, per quarter for GSC? Who are the members of the GSC? And how are we sustaining our operations as GSC? And what should be the role of the National Assembly? Because this is a critical infrastructure. You may call it, I own 10%, 15%, 30%. It's so critical that when there is a simple cut, everybody knows it within a second. And we are happy that you have come. We will give opportunity to the Director of Technical Operations to put you through on the infrastructure itself, how it is working, very in summary forms, because we wouldn't want to really confuse you. And the Finance Director will tell you significantly the operational cost, some of the few challenges that we are having, daily what we do in here. But before we go in for that, let me make it very clear. The GSC is a private company with membership from the government of the Gambia, GAMTEL, GAMCEL, and other private member operators. The government owns currently about 16% of the shares of the GSC. 16%.
That is the two GAMCEL.
No, only government.
Only government, yeah.
16%. And please, honorable members, I want you to focus on this 16%, because this 16% can really bring crisis or terrible, anything can happen if that is mismanaged. If we don't pay attention to how to sustain the cost of that 16%, because there is cost attached to it. GAMTEL owns 20%. GAMTEL of the GSC capacity, meaning everything. That's also very critical. GAMCEL owns 10%. Then in the private sector part, the largest shareholder is QCell with 16%. Next, AfriCell, 15%. Third, Comium, 10%. Then you have fourth, NetPage, 5%. Then you have Unix Solutions, 5%. And you have INET, Insys Global, 3%. That was just recently, purchased the 3% from the government. And they're now part of the GSC. In effect, we have, at the private sector side, 54% private sector holding, and the rest is public sector, government and public sector. Now, I want you to pay attention to, in his presentation, the public sector part, because that's where the risk is. And the risk is so high that we had to avert one by the 31st of January. Otherwise, we would have been completely blackout. They would disconnect Gambia's connectivity to the ACE cable. And once that is done, you pay full all the areas. And you also pay fine, which will be a significant chunk of that amount you already paid. And this risk has always been emerging all the time, and now is more prominent and more eminent than even before because of GAMTEL and GAMCEL, and partly government as well. So I think the Director of Technical Operations will put you through on the ACE, the technical issues down there, how we are connected, and what happens along the line.